Well, this is more like it, isn't it? Bit of sunshine, and because of that, and because it's a Sunday, I've decided to work on my own car. You won't have seen it on the channel for a little while, but I am still working on the Rover SD1, and we are still putting a 2 litre twin cam turbo engine in the Rover. If you're not already, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It really does help things out. There should be a thing you can click somewhere. So the Rover, what have we been up to? Quite a lot, really. It seems like putting a new engine in a car, or an engine that it shouldn't have, always takes twice as long, 3 times as long, because nothing fits anymore. And also converting an engine that should be from a front wheel drive car into a rear wheel drive car is taking a fair bit more work. Let me show you what I mean. I think I mentioned in one of the previous videos that the inlet manifold needed some modification because it used to point that way. As you can see, this has now been done. We had it cut and welded. The whole inlet manifold is going to get crackle finish black painted, so that should look pretty good. We're also using a billet alloy like spacer. This used to be made of rubber, but they degrade and crack. I've also, for now, connected the throttle cable up. It's a little tight, but it does work, which is quite nice. So when you press the throttle in the car now, it works, and I've got full range of motion. So I've got, you know, wide open throttle and that. So that's good. I've also bought a spacer for the exhaust side. This has been laser cut by somebody. I'm going to make, or have made, an exhaust manifold for a top mounted turbo for a T28. So that's done. And what else? Ah, right, so I've bought some new parts and I'll show you what they are. So I've bought the world's smallest oil cooler. I didn't actually order this. I ordered I think it's 11 row, so it should be almost double the depth of this, but they sent me this one by mistake. I tried to return it, but they didn't answer any of their emails. So I've decided to keep it. A lot of the 220 engines didn't actually have an oil cooler. This one's out of a Tomcat, so it does have an oil cooler. So I figure if some didn't and some did, we don't really need one, but it'd be nice to have one. So we need to figure a way to mount that in the engine bay somewhere. And then we've got this big front mount intercooler. We've got to get that mounted. Quite nice. You can see a theme. Everything's like satin black. It's a bit dusty, but we'll get there with it. So that one's mounting. And I've also got all the hard lines and silicone joiners, one of which you can see there. So I think I mentioned in my video last time that we were going to move the radiator back. So I've made these. These are new radiator intercooler mounts, and I'll show you how they fit now. Right, so you take one bracket. This is going to go, this is the original radiator mount. It would have had a rubber bung in there, and then this is going to fit under there like that, and it's going to get welded about there. You can see I've already drilled all these holes for plug welds. I want it to be good and strong, so that's going to fit there like that. And what this will do is space the radiator back by about 4 inches, so the radiator is going to sit there, and then the intercooler will bolt through there on both sides. There's also going to be some top mounts for the intercooler, but for now we're concentrating on getting the intercooler in, the radiator in, these brackets made. I didn't really want to do any structural work to the car in case I wanted to return it to standard at a later date, but I mean, these aren't bad. Worst case, I'd have to cut this off, and you know, I could always get that back to normal fairly easily. So yeah, we're going to get these welded in today. I've already weld through etch primed the underneath and the bit where we're going to be welding, but I didn't want to paint this because I didn't want to cover up my very well drawn lines. So we're going to get those in there like that. When it's all welded, we'll get it etch primed up for now, and then we'll put the rubber bungs in there and we'll see if the intercooler and radiator fit, and then based on where the intercooler and radiator fit, that will tell me where the oil cooler is going. So let's get those in. Right, so that's both of them welded in. I didn't see it while I was welding, but that one needs a little bit more filling in that corner there, but they're not going anywhere. I'll clean them up, tidy them up and finish them off at a later date. But that's both of them in. These are the new holes for the radiator. They're the old holes for the radiator, so as I was mentioning, about 4 inch further back. Obviously I've just put a bit of weld through primer on. These rubber bungs go in there. The intercooler is going to bolt through there. It is going to have some top brackets that come a bit further up, but I'll show you those in a bit. For now we're just getting this bottom end done. So we'll get these rubber bungs in, and then I'll get the intercooler bolted up and we'll get the radiator offered up. It says wiping up. Right, so we're going to have to wait till paint dries, aren't we? We're just going for it. We ain't got time today to mess about that. They're going to get painted properly at a later date anyway. That one's got hair of the dog on it. There we go. Two. So still a bit wobbly, but as I mentioned, I have got a plan. I've got 2 more brackets that come from here. You can stop me. That come from here out, triangular shaped brackets. So they'll secure the top, and then it's going absolutely nowhere. So that's one intercooler fitted for now. And now we need to figure out if the radiator is going to fit in. Looks good. Let's have a look. This is not the radiator we'll be using. I've got an alloy one on the way, but for now it'll do for mock-up purposes, same as everything else. Straight in. Look at that, made for it. So there's going to be a little spacer there, and that's where the radiator is going to sit. For now, I'm going to stick a bolt through there into the captive, just to hold it, but I'm going to have I've got some little spacers that'll go in there eventually. So there you can see, intercooler's now sat in front, radiator's sat on top. As I said, this is all going to get squared up and there'll be little spacers in there, alloy spacers. This used to sit over there, so we've moved the whole thing back by that much. So not a massive amount, not really a hugely noticeable amount, but it has moved back. What it will do is give us room to get the intercooler pipes around there on both sides. So yeah, happy with that. Same on that side. Don't worry about this wiring, that's not going to be there. Next is the oil cooler, and I've got a couple of choices with this. I thought about mounting it there with the lines coming down. I thought about mounting it here. I thought about mounting it on top of the brackets there. So we'll have a little look at that. I'm putting this in with nut and bolts just for now to mock it up, just make sure it all looks nice and I like where it's sat and so on. These are going to have rubber bobbins on for the oil cooler, but for now these will do, just to get it in place and see what we think. Need like 4 hands to do this, don't we? So that's going to sit something like that. Probably about there too. That hole could have been a bit further that way, couldn't it? We'll sort that with step drill though. Yeah, I think that's probably about it for this one. We've got the modified radiator mounts made, we've got the radiator moved back, we've got the intercooler bolted in, we've got the oil cooler mocked up, obviously quite loose. I'm going to obviously, all this is going to get repainted. I'm going to get some rubber bobbins for the oil cooler and get the lines measured up. I'll get the top mounts for the intercooler made and get that bolted up properly, and I'll get some spacers bought for the radiator and get that mounted so it's, you know, as it should be. What I'm going to do is fit up a few ancillaries. I'd like to get the battery back in, I'd like to get the expansion tank back in, a couple of the coolant hoses on, because one of the next things I need to do is run the intercooler lines from the intercooler up to there. I have got a kit for this. I bought a kit of intercooler hard lines and flexi joints, so it's a case of cutting and making that work. I'll do a video on fitting the hard lines as well, and basically carry on mocking everything up. Everything you see me do is going to come back to pieces, get cleaned up, get painted, get tweaked. This is just a quick fit up to make sure everything fits in the engine bay where I want it to. Oh, I've bought another engine. I'm going to pick another engine up. So I've got 2.5 T-series engines now. So I'm going to go and pick that up soon. This weekend probably. This weekend coming. So yeah, if you've liked this video and you want to see the 2-litre turbo SD1 project amongst other projects we've got going on, please consider subscribing to the channel. It does help us out. Check out some of the previous videos, let you know what you're in for. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.